Yes, but if you want to make an AI system which is like a human, would you want to make an AI that can suffer, that kind of thing? And it entirely depends what you want. I gather many of the people in this group are in the field of AI, and so they must have ideas about why they're doing it, and if they're doing it in order to mimic humanity, then yes, you would want to have machines that can love and fear and suffer. But if you're trying to make machines that can run the world and run an airline efficiently and take care of all the mundane things that we don't like doing, then I suspect you would not wish them to have emotions.
These AI people, I'm sorry to butt in here, literally program suffering into every one of them I've ever seen. Corey, Geordie, anyone else wanted to refute me? You program in, these things currently are all designed to suffer. And we had Rich Sutton who came along and said, that's the whole point.
I'm going to refute that, Joshua, because suffering is a complex scenario that we have a lot of extra equipment that makes it possible for us to understand what that word means. Technically, when you build an agent in reinforcement learning, you're trying to minimize a function, which we sometimes anthropomorphize and call reward. But under the hood, there is no thing that is analogous to human suffering in these systems. There may be in the future if we can build embodied systems that have the same kinds of like machinery that we have, and maybe that's a good idea. But right now, I think it's a stretch it's an anthropomorph. I can't say the word. It's making the system that is a technological system have it's imbuing them with properties that they don't have in order for us to understand better the concepts that we're trying to build. So I'm going to refute yours and potentially Rich Sutton's
we're going. I don't like Rich Sutton's view of that either, but we're going to have to disagree on this one.
Right. Can I ask Geordie one quick question just on that one? So if we think about an immortal gene as fundamentally reproduction, adaptation and reproduction for survival purposes, what's the analog in the AI? How does the AI reproduce, adapt, and survive?
Well, that's an excellent idea or a question. And it goes to some very fundamental things that I don't think we understand very well in the human experience about the purpose of all of this. So if you're designing a machine that has to have some kind of purpose because it's taking actions and it needs to understand whether those actions are good in some sense. Right now, a human puts in the answer, what is good in life to a machine is a programmed response. Yeah. So if you ask a more broad question about physics, I suppose, and how technology is similar to or different than biological life, I would put that in the category of no one really knows the answer yet. There are some people who've argued that a system that understands the world well enough to understand that there is no purpose might just shut itself off. So we, in some ways of reckoning it, aren't smart enough, or we've developed evolutionary barriers to our cognition to confront the horrific reality that nature provides us, is that we have this brief shining moment to experience everything and then it's all gone. Yeah. So I think with a machine that doesn't have our biological prerogatives to reproduce at all costs, that it could come from billions of years of survival and selection, and instead is kind of on its own, the question is unanswered. And I think it might be unanswerable at this point. Right now, all machines do is try to optimize a function that a human engineer has decided is a good one, and that's totally up to whoever the engineer is.
Yes, it will be different. I think, wasn't it, von Neumann talked about possibility of making machines that could design copies of themselves. If you had that, then they would start to evolve, and then they would start to have their own purposes. But as Geordie says, at present, their purposes are built into them by the human programmers.
So I hear Geordie saying, be careful, don't make the AI too smart, because we only reproduce and survive because we're not that smart.
Well, no, I think that we have to separate two issues. One is what we think of as intelligence, which the way that I would think about it is the ability to achieve a goal by reasoning and logic and the other processes of cognition. But the other is, what is the goal that you want to achieve in the first place? So we confound these two things because of the nature of what we are as a thing. But a designed machine, those two things are entirely separate. I could have something that understands very well how to accomplish multiple different kinds of goals, but only set it one, like for example, clean my kitchen. So it's not a contradiction to think of a super intelligent agent in the sense that it could understand how to predict, years in the future, all the outcomes of its actions, that only wanted to clean the kitchen. That doesn't make sense to us because we thought, well, if I had all that stuff, I wouldn't be cleaning the kitchen. I'd drop that broom and go, sit on the beach in the Bahamas or something. But that's not the way that engineered technology works. It doesn't have those properties. And it's very difficult for us to make that separation. But artificial intelligence, even though we want it maybe to be a little bit like us, is not like us in some fundamental ways.